We've seen a lot of people lose their jobs lately. A lot of them have had salary cuts, and as a church, we felt that it would be the right time for us to address these issues. We are also planning a series of webinars from this forward. Issues like job dissatisfaction, job choices, and is it wise to even switch jobs right now? The first speaker is Mr. Glenn Carr. Glenn Carr is the director of Finmark, which is a financial management company which also trains students on investment and other things. Glenn has been in the business for a lot of years. He started off as a wealth management consultant and then moved on to having his own company. Glenn's passion is to train people, young people basically, to invest and to have good knowledge on trading. So that has been his passion, and I've known Glenn personally for several years now, and yeah, it's great to listen to him. So we are actually privileged to have him here as a speaker, and I'll hand over the session to Glenn.
Thank you, Ranjit. Welcome everyone. Thanks for being here this morning. I know it's a little difficult to wake up a little early on Independence Day and celebrate independence on financial issues. Just before I start, I just want to say a few words. I want to thank the young adults. I want to thank the home builders. Thank you guys for putting this program together, and thank Prajit and David and all the other technical team who's been working to get the registrations and get this program running. So thank you for that. I just want to give you a brief of what I've been doing before we get started, and I'll just let you know that I have been in the business of portfolio management and stock broking for I think 26 years now. And over the period of time, over the last 20 odd years, what I generally find is that I would have come across, I think, about 2 to 3 lakh of investors or clients. And I just probably will name a handful of really been successful. The problem is why they are unsuccessful is because they don't know what they want. They don't know how to time your investment. They don't know how to plan in terms of risk and return. And therefore, we have a big problem. And basically, we see in a community around us that either people are too money-centered or they are not at all money-centered. And that causes a disharmony at times. So today what we'd like to do is we are in an exemplary situation, a situation which we will see probably once in our lifetime, once in every 120 years. And therefore I want to address this issue in 3 phases. Don't worry, I will not take long with each phase, maximum 10 minutes. At phase 1, we would like to look at the current recession caused by the pandemic. How severe will it be? How long it could last? What are the impact it could have on us? The second phase, we will look at what are the dangers which could, throw this pandemic can throw up in terms of the risk management systems to our financial markets. Where do we keep our money? Where do we not keep our money? How do we invest our money? That is the second phase. And the third phase, I'd like to introduce you to few good investment ideas during this time. So this is the 3 phases. We talk about the recession. We will talk about the dangers of the recession which could have on money and why you should be extra careful at this time. And finally, we will talk about what are the decent investment avenues for you and me to make our investment. I will just share a slide with you, quickly take you through it. And as Ranjit said, questions will happen at the end where you can put it on Slido, and we'd be happy to take as many questions as possible. If you have any personal questions, I would leave you my WhatsApp number and my email, and you can always get in touch. When I say personal, it's regarding finance. Yeah. So here we go. Thank you again, and hope you find this. The first point which I want to quickly make is that we are seeing an unprecedented recession, the COVID recession. And the question which many people have in their mind is, how long will it last? How severe is it going to be? And those questions can be answered only by comparing it with a recession which happened some time back. And if you look at India, you see that in the last 20 years, we've had 2 recessions. In 2001, we had the dot-com bubble. The dot-com bubble was the time when, some of the IT companies floundered and certain computers went bust. And in 2008, we had the Lehman Brothers crisis, which hit America, which hit banking system, and many banks were in the last legs. They were standing on the last legs. So these two recessions were, fortunately for us, restricted to one particular industry. But the COVID recession, which we are seeing today, is spread across all industries. Just the severity of the recession is that India, when we made a prediction in March, we said GDP, our growth will slow down from 5% to -1. We slowly shifted the goals from -1 to -5. And now you're hearing predictions of GDP growth being -9, 9.5. So the severity of the global recession, of the recession in India, I think is yet to hit us. We will see the most severe pain in the months of September, October, November. And the Great Depression had a lot of similarities to this. We are seeing the recession today with the pandemic. The Great Depression, the recession happened post the pandemic. You had the Spanish flu between 1918 to 1920, 21, and then about 7-8 years later, the Great Depression hit. The Great Depression was so severe that it hit every sector. Unemployment was at the worst. People lost jobs in thousands. The government didn't have money, and the government didn't have money at all. And it made, in fact, there was a notice put up in the newspaper saying anyone who has gold in America has to deposit the gold with the government. If you don't, you go to prison for 10 years. And that's a true story. Now, while I'm not saying that our COVID recession could be so severe, all I'm trying to tell people is be ready for a longer recession, because we are hopeful people sometimes. And we hope that this recession will get over in a few months. Many speaking about a V-shaped recovery, saying the economy will fall and by September everything will be okay. It's not going to be okay. By the time the vaccine arrives and by the time people get inoculated, it's going to be nearly mid next year. And from there, you need at least a year for the economy to recover. So this is my brief introduction regarding the COVID recession. Not to scare you, but also to ask you not to be complacent and too hopeful. So the recession which we are talking about, the Great Depression, one lesson you could take away from it is a deep stock market fall. And the stock markets during the Great Depression fell 90%, believe me. And if you notice this graph which I put up, the 90% doesn't happen soon as the virus started. Doesn't start during the recession. It kind of towards the end of the recession, 1932 is when the stock market collapses. 3 years later, 3 years after the Great Depression started, the stock market collapses, and it collapses in stages. So for us who thinks that everything is well, our markets are fallen in India, it's recovered, don't be too sure. We could see further shocks to the system. May or may not happen, but be ready. The second most dangerous thing which could happen is unemployment. And unemployment during the Great Depression hit 27%. Unemployment today in the US is 15%. In India, it is 12%. I think if you add the unorganized sector to it, we will be close to 18 to 20%, which means 1 in every 5 Indians will be unemployed. And that is a serious issue. The third point which I want to point out is you will see economic shocks. And we already saw one economic shock where the price of crude oil, Texan crude oil, fell to minus $36 about 45 days ago. Never in the history of mankind have we found crude petrol prices, if you want to call it in layman's language, fall to minus a level. It fell to minus $36. We've never seen this in our history. However, this shock was favorable to India because we buy crude. So you might ask me, why are we paying 83, 84 rupees? That is because the government has increased taxes. If the government didn't levy taxes, you and me would be paying 20 to 21 rupees per liter of petrol. Only 20 rupees per liter of petrol. But the point is that the government needs revenue also. And therefore, be ready for economic shocks. The shock on oil was favorable to us. What if we see a shock on our banking system? And we'll talk about this a little later. Unemployment is a serious issue. This is from the Economic Times. And if you look at the prediction, they say travel and tourism, 55 million people working, 38 million people will lose jobs. Automobiles, 5 million people working, 2 to 3 million will lose jobs. Restaurants, 7.3 million working, 2 million people already have lost jobs. Education, 18 million people working, 4.5 million have lost jobs. So you're looking at a serious crisis at this moment. The only good news seems to be coming from educational technology and a little bit of banking and finance. But you're looking at a serious unemployment issue. And the big question which we all ask, how long is this recession going to take? And if you look at this last graph, which I'm putting up on this section, you will see the recession ends that when these lines go above zero. When the lines go above zero, the recession ends. And if you look at the purple line and the orange line, they go above zero after 36 to 48 months. So most of the recessions have generally lasted 3 to 4 years. If you look at the light blue line, which is the Great Depression, it had a severe fall for 18 months, recovered, fell, and recovered. You call it a W-shaped recovery. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you that long-term recessions in the past have taken 3 to 4 years for it to revive. However, you could see a little bit of recovery after about 18 months. So be ready for economic pain at least for 18 months and to maximum probably of about 4 years. So 1.5 years to 4 years is anywhere between which a recession can last. The good news is about 5 months of the 18 months probably has gone. But we need to remember that this can go for 3 to 4 years. Past history has shown us that we've had recoveries in between, but the long-term recovery, it takes 3 to 4 years to happen. So those who are building, who are saving for this fight, who are saving to get over this recession, please play the long-term game. If it doesn't take so long, God bless us. But if it does, be prepared for 3 to 4 years with a minimum of 18 months. So let me move to my second point. What do I do now? In this being the situation, what can I do? How do I build my emergency fund? And economists all over the world agree that we need to have an emergency fund. An emergency fund means about 4 to 6 months of our household expenses. Expenses which we cannot be without. Rent, water, electricity, food, basic travel, maybe school college fees. We need about 4 to 6 months of those expenses put together. So if your household expense is 30,000 per month, 30,000 into 4 or 30,000 into 6, which means 1.2 lakhs or 1.8 lakhs needs to be in liquid cash for you to spend. So how do you create this emergency fund? Well, the government, I don't know how many of you have used it, but it's something which you should use quickly. You are allowed to withdraw up to 3 months or 75% of your EPF corpus. The government is allowing you to withdraw that. So make use of that first and build your base. Build your base by withdrawing 3 months or 75% of your EPF corpus. The moratorium on a house loan was one possibility. Moratorium on any other loans, I wouldn't subscribe to. But the moratorium ends in August, so I'm not going to spend any more time there. But what else can I do? One other thing which you can do at this time, and all of us would have realized this, is that gold prices have gone up substantially. And gold is a great investment to make during recession. Because when everything else comes down, shares, interest rate, housing prices, gold goes up. Now, so we were talking about creating an emergency fund. And the first thing I said was withdraw your EPF corpus. The second thing which I was talking about is idle gold. All of us have idle gold now, and this is the time for us to look to sell some of this idle gold because gold prices are really up. Can it go up further? Yes, it can. But if we are in need of money, I think this would be a good thing for you to do, to be able to sell a bit of your idle gold and top up your reserves. So EPF withdrawal, selling gold. Now, if you say I'm in such a bad situation that I cannot, do all this, I need something else, I need to borrow, then here is my recommendation on the 2 cheapest borrowings. The 2 cheapest ways you can borrow is top up your house loan. If you have a home loan, this is the time for you to top it up. Because today you can get a top-up home loan at 6.75, 6.8%, which has been probably the lowest in the last 15 years. So topping up your home loan is one way of doing this. The second way of you are getting a cheap loan is taking a gold loan from PSU banks, like the IOB or State Bank of India, where you could get a gold loan for about 7.75 to 8%. So if at all you have to borrow, these are the 2 cheap ways to borrow. Try not to borrow, but I know it's a difficult thing to do when you are in a very, very desperate situation. But these are the 2 cheapest ways to borrow. Also, please take a term insurance. Please take a term insurance, right? We've seen with our own eyes people around us, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, people passing away. Someone who's 100 years is recovering. So this virus treats people differently. And to be safe, we need to take a term insurance. A term insurance, I don't know how many of you know, it's a pure risk insurance, which means if the event of death happens, your family gets the money. If death doesn't happen during that period and you're alive and celebrating your birthday, let's say you've taken this term insurance up to 60 years and you're celebrating your 60th birthday, then it's a great occasion. But the sad news there is that you lose the premium you paid. But that's okay, because term insurance is a very, very cheap kind of insurance. If you're a 30-year-old and you take a 50 lakh term insurance, all you have to pay is about 600 rupees per month. 600 rupees per month. If you take a traditional policy, you will have to pay about 6,000 to 8,000 rupees per month for the same type of insurance. So please remember, please take a term insurance. A term insurance is a pure risk insurance, just like how you take your car or your bike insurance. If something happens to you, your family gets the money. If nothing happens, then after that period, the insurance just lapses. So these are some of the points where you can save and make it safe and protect your family. No wasteful expenditure, right? No wasteful expenditure. Warren Buffett makes this great statement. He says that if you spend money today on things that you don't need, you will very soon be selling things that you need. If you spend money on things that you don't need, you will very soon be selling things that you need. So therefore, the most important thing for us to do as families at this time is to not just pray also together, but also sit and work on your financials together. Please budget. Please sit and budget as a family. See where you can save. What are the unnecessary expenses you can do away with? And that will help you during these times. So these are some of the tips for you to build an emergency fund. A few more very, very important things. And these, please pay attention to me because this needs a little more work. Renegotiate your interest rate with banks, especially home loan rates. Do you know that it's your right to renegotiate your interest rates with a home loan? There is, if you have a home loan which keeps changing, there is something called a base price. For example, if you took a home loan about 5 years ago, your base interest rate would have been about 10%. And every time they would have reduced interest rates, they reduce it from 10.5%. Now that base rate can be reset to 8%. So the next time interest rates are cut, it's not cut from 10.5%, but it's cut from 8%. Now to reset that the prime interest rate or the base interest rate, which they call it, all you need to do is make an application, and there's a small fee about 800 to 1,000 rupees. And if you do that, then you can reset your interest loan and save about 2 to 3 to 4,000 rupees. Now, I'm telling you this because I'm doing this practically. It is available on most of the home loan companies' websites that you can make an application online and then pursue it offline and complete the formalities and reset your interest loan. This will save you a couple of thousand rupees per month. So please do that, especially if you're going through a tough time, salary cuts, salary deferment, please do that. Also, another thing which we do is when we have outstanding sudden expenses, we tend to use our credit cards because we already have a credit limit on that. Now, my strong recommendation to you is please apply for an overdraft and keep it. An overdraft doesn't cost you anything. An overdraft is a credit limit which a bank or a financial institution gives you, and you only use it when needed, and you only pay when you use it. And today, if you look at it, banks have been very generous in giving you overdraft limits. If you look at the slide which I'm putting up now, if you have a fixed deposit, look at State Bank of India. They're willing to give you 90% of the value of this fixed deposit as an overdraft, and the interest rate is FD rate plus 1. So if your FD rate is 6%, all you need to do is 7%, and you get an overdraft, which you can use in times of emergency. If you say, I don't have an FD, how do I get an overdraft? Well, Bajaj Finserv, Clicks Capital, those kind of NBFCs allow you an overdraft based on your salary. They allow you an overdraft. There it is a little costlier, 12.5%, 13%, but you get an overdraft facility today. And do take an overdraft and keep, because the cost is minimal. You have to, I think, only pay a fee in the beginning, which is about 1,500 or 2,000. And then you have this overdraft limit, which you can use in time of emergency. It is much cheaper to use it than using a credit card where you pay 42% or 44%, and here you only pay about 12.5%, 13%. So please have an overdraft ready in case of any emergencies. Now, the last point which I'd like to make is, if you are living in a rented house, the next few months is going to be the best time for you to move out from your rented house and buy your own premises. I'll tell you why. You have two things which are happening. You have interest rates on home loans coming down. Interest rates on home loans today are about 6.75 to 6.9%. And I think with a few months, in a few months' time, you're going to get interest rates of home loans coming to around 6.5%. And you're also going to get housing prices coming down. Now, why am I saying with such assurance that housing prices will come down? Is because the government is pushing real estate companies to reduce the prices of apartments, villas, and sell them. Simply because all these real estate agents or all these real estate companies owe banks a lot of money. And if they don't pay the banks, the government has to support the banks with capital. And the government is not willing to do that. And therefore, they are now pushing real estate companies. And they've also warned them that if they don't reduce prices, the government will have to take strict action against them. So in the next 3 to 6 months, you're going to see real estate prices really falling. You're going to see interest rates at 6.5%. And at that point, if you move in from your rented property into your own property, you will make a savings not only on the monthly outgo of rent. In fact, I think your EMI will be slightly lesser than the rent you pay. You own an asset, and also you have tax benefits. You can claim up to 2 to 2.5 lakhs based on the interest outgo which you pay for your home loan. So you reduce your tax burden also. You get your own property, and probably a monthly outgo instead of rent, etc. You can pay an EMI which maybe will be equal or slightly even lesser. So this could be a great time for you to save on your rental income and move into your own property. Now, I want to come to a very, very important point. This is very important. How do we safeguard our money during this time? And there are a lot of risks in the horizon, right? Some of us who are in the system can see these risks very, very clearly. The common man, a lay person who doesn't pay much attention on finance may not see this. I just want to show you an article which is a few months back, nearly a month back, June 16. RBI has put 44 cooperative banks under the watch. And the article says, how deep is the rot? So if you read this article, it says, RBI says 44 cooperative banks are on the verge of bankruptcy. And they say another 60 banks, cooperative banks, could be in deep trouble. That is why, if you notice, the RBI doesn't have full control over cooperative banks. They only have part control. Now the government has asked them to take full control. The reason why the government is doing this is because cooperative banks are in a deep, deep mess. And if RBI doesn't act today, in another 6 months' time, you will see cooperative bank after cooperative bank collapsing. So if you have money in a cooperative bank, please be very, very careful. Just about few weeks back, one of the largest cooperative banks in Karnataka collapsed. And you would have seen it on NDTV. People standing in queue to recover the money. And who was standing in queue? The old and elderly. A 91-year-old, a 85-year-old, all of them who put their hard-earned pension money because these banks were offering 2% more than a normal bank, normal scheduled commercial bank. They were offering you 2% more. We go and put our money in cooperatives, and cooperatives today are in deep, deep trouble. So my sincere advice to you, be very, very careful with your money if they are in cooperative banks. Another big fraud, I wouldn't call it a fraud, but a danger which is going around, right? This is a technical term. It is called AT1 bonds, not 81, AT1, which means additional tier 1 bonds. See, all banks today don't have capital because it's been wiped out with bad loans, with defaults. So they have to raise fresh capital. No investor wants to give them money. So how do they raise fresh capital? They are now disguising a bond called AT1 bond as a kind of a deposit or a kind of a debenture, which they are now giving to the public. And on this, they give you at least 2% more than the FD. So you have many banks where the sales guy tells you, instead on FD, why don't you take this kind of deposit? It's a very safe bond. It will give you a 2% extra. They don't tell you the risks involved. They don't tell you it's called additional tier 1 bonds, and they sell it. Just for your information, 1 lakh crores of these bonds have been issued in India in the last about 10 months. Most of the people who buy these bonds do not know the risk involved. And the risk involved was shown up when Yes Bank collapsed. When Yes Bank collapsed, the first bonds which were written off, see, whenever a company goes bankrupt, the general way is you sell the assets and first you pay the bondholders, and then if any money is left, then you pay the shareholders. But in this case, what happened was the first people who had to take a hit and were told that you won't get any money back, zero money back, was these bondholders. So there were a number of 10,500 crores, 10,800 crores was the amount of money which 81 bondholders, additional tier 1 bondholders, lost in Yes Bank. And many of them have gone to court saying this is unfair, we were cheated. So please be careful. Please be careful, because many banks, there are about 5 to 6 banks which are selling these bonds. So when you go for an FD, if someone gives you an alternate of a bond or a different kind of FD, please ask them the question, what kind of bonds these are? And if you hear this word additional tier 1 bonds, stay far away from it. It's highly, highly risky. If they collapse, you won't get a single rupee. You won't get even a single rupee. And no one will help you. RBI will not help you. Just want to put down another latest information. What are the weak banks? And these are the weakest banks. Just look at it. IDBI. Market capitalization. Market capitalization is the value of the company. 11,500 crores. But NPAs, defaults, 50,000 crores. Central Bank, market cap or the value, 15,000 crores. Defaults, 31,000 crores. IOB, and I know many of us will be smiling here because our church account is there. 5,658 crore. But the NPA or the defaults is 35,000 crores. Now, most of us will look at this and say, but most of these banks are all PSU banks. The government will take care. The next slide is going to shake you up a little, because if you saw the news a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago exactly, there is a very, very serious recommendation, and the finance ministry is considering it, that the government is going to sell its stakes in Bank of India, Central Bank, IOB, UCO Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, Punjab and Sindh Bank, and maybe a few other PSU banks. The idea of the government is to have only 4 or 5 PSUs, sell the rest. Why are they doing this? Because they realize that these banks are getting worse and worse by the day. The government also doesn't have money, capital to keep pumping into these banks. So the best thing they're going to do is sell it off and say the problem of these banks, let it go to someone else. So please be very careful. At the moment, nothing to panic, but please keep your eyes open for this news. The moment these banks get privatized, the security of government protection goes away. The only security, however, which you have, and we need to know this, is that fixed deposit holders today have a FD insurance up to 5 lakhs. So if any banks collapse, up to 5 lakhs, there's an insurance amount which you will get back. More than that, if some banks save it, then it's okay. But if you don't have a SBI which saved a Yes Bank, then your money is gone. More than that. And please also want to assure you that generally I hear people saying, you saw Yes Bank collapsed. RBI got State Bank to save them. Let me just give you a few pointers there. Yes Bank collapse happened before the COVID crisis. After the COVID crisis, the banks are in bad shape. If you looked at yesterday's news, government has taken 57,000 crores out of RBI. Neither does RBI have the money, nor do other banks or institutions have the money to go and rescue some other bank. So this is not going to happen. That would be wishful thinking for us to take a risk thinking that we will somehow be rescued by someone. So be very careful. Be very careful of these cooperative banks, the additional tier 1 bonds. Be very careful. Keep your eyes open on these weak banks, which government is trying to sell off. Please be very careful on that. The corporate bond is another big danger. If you look at this, I just want you to concentrate on this column. Risk of default if interest rates rises, they say is 27%, which means that 1 in every 3 corporates who issued debentures or bonds to the public will default. 1 in every 3 companies which have issued bonds. See, bonds are issued by the government and issued by companies. Now, the companies who issue bonds or debentures offer you 2 to 3% higher, even sometimes 4% higher than an FD. And most of us in our greed, we go and invest there without studying the company, without knowing whether it is safe. And now you are seeing them starting to default. In the last few months, you saw Vodafone Idea not default but delay. You saw Sriram Transport not default but delay. You saw Anil Ambani's companies defaulting. You saw Dewan Housing Finance, which was India's 3rd largest housing finance company, default. So be very careful when your banker comes and sells you corporate bonds also. Only invest in AAA bonds. See, a bond is safe by the rating. Even the rating is not a great parameter, but just look at it. If it's AAA, then there's some assurance. Anything below that, don't even look at it. So bonds are currently failing, left, right, and center. You have so many corporates which are defaulting, or they are not able to pay. They are deferring the payment of interest, deferring the payment of the principal. So be very careful with being sold debentures and bonds. These are some of the companies with outstanding amounts. Devon Housing, Reliance Capital. Anil Ambani's brother is the 4th or 5th richest man in the world. This guy has declared bankruptcy, and his entire bankruptcy, I think, is dues to the public, to corporate, is about 1 lakh crore. And you must, appreciate him for one thing. He's the only guy who's defaulted the Chinese. He owes Chinese companies between 4 to 6,000 crores. No one else can cheat them. He's the only guy who's done that. So for that, at least, I think we should appreciate him. But that's a joke. But these are some of the companies with, who have been defaulting on the corporate bond market. So my last part, I hope I'm not taking too long. My last part, what do I do? How do I invest? If I have any surplus remaining out in these situations, where and how do I invest? I want to leave you the principles of 3 R's. Reliable, realistic, review. Go only with the reliable. Whether it is a bank, whether it is a financial institution, whether it is a corporate, please go only with reliable names. Many people ask me, is this bank safe, that bank safe? I can't really tell you. Today, many banks are okay, but in 3 months, 6 months, things can deteriorate. I'll give you an example. Lakshmi Vilas Bank, all of us know that bank. The capital adequacy ratio, or for a layman, that's a safety ratio which a bank should have, was 9.5%. 8 months ago, they had 9%. Then it fell to 3.5%. And a couple of weeks back, I was shocked to read that it has come down to 1%. Now, that bank is now trying to merge with a non-banking finance company to ensure safety. Look at this, a bank trying to merge with a NBFC. Usually it's the other way around. So when a bank like that can suddenly become weak in a few months' time, we need to be extra cautious. So go with reliable banks. If you ask me what are the reliable banks, see, in all countries, there are a couple of banks which are considered too big to fail, And in India, the government and RBI has classified State Bank of India, HDFC Bank, and ICICI Bank as too big to fail banks. Too big to fail. And I am given to understand that probably Bank of Baroda will be added to it as a Navaratna. So if that happens, then 4, but as of now, 3. So if you want absolute safety and you know that the government will not let them fail, these 3 banks, I'm not saying the other banks are weak, but please keep an eye because things can change very quickly. So go with the reliable. Please avoid all these, unorganized schemes like chit funds. There are very few chit funds which are regulated, which have government approval. Most of them are unauthorized, they will collapse. Please be very careful with this monthly gold scheme where I put funds every month and after 2 years get a beautiful gold chain. The way gold companies, they are not able to sell physical gold because everyone are buying electronic gold. Those schemes are dangerous. Please avoid multi-level marketing schemes. They are dangerous. The Amway kind of products. They can collapse and you will have to pay the people who you have given the products to. So be careful of those things. Be realistic. Don't be greedy. Again, I quote Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. Today, you have a time where people are fearful and greedy at the same time. Don't get carried away by high interest rates. Today, a good bank is only giving you 5.5% on an FD. It is okay. You might say it is unacceptable. After tax, I get only 5%. For 1 or 1.5 years, it's okay. Take a low interest. Later, you can make changes. Look at safety first. And I'll give you a few examples where you can go for safety. Constantly review your portfolio. Constantly review where you invested. At least once a month, sit and pay some attention to where you're investing and how is it doing. Now, where can I invest during this time? Well, if you're a little young and if you are willing to take some risk, then gold is a great investment to make during a recession period because it always is a safety instrument. Very interestingly, I was just reading a statistic that 2 years, who's been the biggest buyer of gold over the last 2 years? Take a guess. It's our friend China. Why? Because they saw a recession coming. I wonder if they saw even the pandemic coming. But they saw a recession coming from 2018 and they've been buying gold. So gold does well in a recession. So, but if you want to invest in gold, don't go and buy gold jewelry for 2 reasons. One is once you buy it, your wife won't let you sell it. Secondly, if you buy gold jewelry, When you sell it, you have making charges, wasting charges. Instead, buy electronic gold. It's available on the stock exchange just like a share. It is called an ETF, exchange traded fund. Nippon Gold Bees is the fund I'm talking about. Nippon Gold Bees, that's most popular. And you can buy 1 unit of that by just paying just 47 rupees, because 1 unit is equal to 0.01 grams. So you can buy electronic gold in lots of 1 unit, which is 0.01 grams. So anyone can do it. It's available to anyone. If you buy it today, you can sell it tomorrow. Liquidity, it's much, much cheaper, and it's available at 0.01 grams. So electronic gold is a good investment to make. If you're young again, if you want to invest in the stock market, don't invest a lump sum amount. Do a systematic investment plan, which means you put up small amounts of money month after month after month, and keep doing that year after year after year. Do it at least for 5 to 6 years, and you will see good returns. Even if the market is falling, please do not stop. Please continue that monthly investment into a mutual fund. If you want some more information on which is a good fund, how much should I put in, you can take this offline or take it in the question session. But if you're young, when I say young, I mean 50 and below, you can start an SIP, but ensure you continue and do it for 5 years at least. Just to give you an idea of gold, I spoke about the 2001 recession. Gold was 375 rupees at the beginning of the recession. When the recession ended in 2005, you can see that gold went up to about 750 rupees, so 100% return. Then you're looking at a recession which happened in 2008. In 2008, when the recession started, the price of gold was about 1,250 rupees. When the recession ended in 2012, gold was 3,200 rupees, nearly 200% return. And then you can see when the economy started doing well, gold prices came down slightly. Not much, but it came down slightly. And in 2019, when the recession started again, gold started going up again. So gold is a recession-proof investment. Look at the kind of changes we've had in our interest rates. 1 year FD 6.9% on January 1st. Now it is 5.5%. After tax goes, you will get only 5%. Look at our RD, 7.2%, now 5.8%. So interest rates have fallen drastically. And you might ask the question, where do I find safe investment avenues? Well, let me give you a few schemes. One of the schemes which you can look at, which is today probably one of the highest interest rate schemes, is a senior citizen savings scheme, which gives you 7.4% per annum. You can invest up to 15 lakhs. Minimum is only 1,000 rupees. However, there's a lock-in of 5 years. But the beauty of this is interest is reset, which means after 2 years, if interest rates go up from 7.4 to 9, you will get 9% after 2 years. And it's available very easily through post offices. The only thing is that you need to be 60 years or 55 years if you've taken a VRS. But why am I telling most of you young people? I'm telling you most of you young people because all of us have parents, have grandparents, have in-laws. We can take it in their name. We can take it in their name. When you take it in their name, 2 benefits. One is you get 7.4%. Secondly, they are not going to be taxed. They are unlikely to be in a tax bracket. So the entire 7.4% which you get is yours. If you and me take it, FD, we will get 5.5%. After tax deduction at source, you will get only 5%. So 2.4% extra per annum comes from our investing our money in our parents' name or in our grandparents or in our in-laws' name. The only caution here is please put yourself as a nominee, because anything untoward comes, it shouldn't lead to a family dispute. So this is a great option which I want to leave you with. A lot of people are doing this. A lot of people who don't mind, who trust the parents, who trust the grandparents, who trust the in-laws, do this. Here are some of the schemes which I'm talking to you about. Very interestingly, we've gone back in time to the tried and tested schemes which are giving you the best and safe returns. A post office monthly income scheme gives you 6.9%. 4.5 lakhs is the minimum you can invest. Maximum you can invest as a single person. 9 lakhs joint. Senior citizen savings scheme I spoke to you about, 7.4%. Sukanya Samarthi scheme for anyone who has a girl child below 10 years, 7.6%. This is the highest in our country with government assurance, 7.6%. And you can invest up to 1.5 lakhs per year. So anyone has a girl child below 10 years, please go for this. Public Provident Fund, PPF, 7.1%, but however, it's a 15-year lock-in. So I'll be a little careful about that. Post office time deposit. That is an FD with the post office, gives you 6%, 0.5% more than a good bank like a HDFC or a SBI gives you. So time for us to look at go back and look at government schemes if we want higher returns and have safety. And this comes with central government protection, right? Be a little careful about state government issues also, because state governments may not default, but they don't have money, so they may delay interest, they may delay redemption. They can extend the scheme from 5 years to 10 years if they don't have money. So go for these post office schemes, go for the government schemes, they give you better return. If you don't want that, if you want it a little simpler, there's a new bond fund called Bharat Bond ETF, Exchange Traded Fund. It is available on the stock exchange. The minimum you have to invest is 1,000 rupees. The return, fixed return, is 6.2%. And all these investments are into good, government-run PSU companies like Export Import Bank, HUDC, Indian Railways Finance, National Nuclear Power Corporation, small SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank, etc. And 6.2% is the assured income there. I'm just through with my presentation. So I touched upon how long will the recession take. We looked about how you can build an emergency fund, how you can save some money every month. And we also look at the dangers which we are facing and what are the safe investment avenues. So I hope the session which I did was practical. My wish to you is be very, very careful with your money. This is hard-earned money. Please be very careful. Trust in God. May He bless you. And as we, say, may His grace always be sufficient for you. That is my wish for you this morning. But please be cautious. Please be careful. And we will all come through this unscathed. This is my mobile number. Instead of calling me, I would appreciate if you WhatsApp, because most of the time we are doing sessions, not to boast, but just to tell you, we have educated about 14,000 people during the last 5 months on ways to protect themselves, and most of them have lost jobs. A lot of college faculty, school faculty who have 30%, 40%. There was one college where there's 90%, a salary cut. We need to pray for these people. They're going through such severe time. We reached out about 14,000 odd, faculty, people who lost jobs, people who have salary deferments over the last 5 months. So happy to reach out to y'all also. Please take this message which you got today to others. I think Cyril will be waiting. I need to hand over the session to him, and he's going to be talking about how do you protect yourself as an entrepreneur, as a businessman. And you may contact me on my WhatsApp, or you can email me. This is my email ID, and happy to assist you at any point. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn. I think it was a very informative session. We also touched upon, the 3 R's, which were very useful. Our next speaker is Cyril Gubi. Just a brief introduction about him. He is one of the directors of Get Water Solutions. He runs the business, and Cyril has been in the business for the last 20 years. I remember him telling us that he started, when he started his business, he had a rented chair and a rented table. And he was the only person working there. From there, he started his business, and now he's doing business in over 12 countries. So it's a phenomenal story, of how a single person can do such wonders with the grace of God. So I'll hand it over to him. His heart is to train people who want to become entrepreneurs. So we've had several opportunities to listen to him. So I'll hand over the session again to him right now.
Okay. Thank you, Ranjit. Thank you so much. Okay, it's nice to be in touch with all of you, and this is an opportunity. I'm not a good speaker like Glenn, so if I will have bits and pieces coming in, so please forgive me. Anyway, I think this is a great opportunity for me to share to people who are hurting, people who are in need. So this was the whole idea of us coming together, was to reach out to people and see if in some way we can help people when in this recession time, and see how this will be useful for people. Okay, I think this is something which everybody knows now. Okay, if 5 months back we had seen people like this, we would have laughed. Okay, and so this is, I think, a clear reminder of the times that we are in now, because 5 months, January, if I had worn this on the street, people would be laughing. But now You can't walk on the street without this. This is how times have changed. Times have changed in the last 4 or 5 months. It is nothing new to us, but incomes have come down. People have got salary cuts. People have lost jobs. Nobody is clear on what has to be done. I know it is going to be a difficult time. Sometimes it is a very, very difficult time for people. So that one of the main reasons, what I would like to maybe just tell you a story of an entrepreneur. Okay. So this guy started, I know him very well. So I cannot take out names. So I'm going to delete all the names or references to people. This guy started off some time back and started a small business and an expertise which he has been working for the last 15, 20 years. He has been working for 20 years, learned an experience. He had so much pressure in his job situation where he couldn't continue, which is, I think, situation which many of you will be facing today. A lot of pressure. And then he decides he just has to walk out and start doing things on his own. And he discusses with his family and tells his wife and say, I'm going to take this decision. What can I do? What should I do? So his wife and family says, just go ahead and do what you want. Start small. 2 more people join him. Then they do a business. Slowly, in 5 years, they wanted to do a 1 crore business. Then they slowly started doing, and they started becoming a little more successful. And then after about 7 to 8 years, they were a fairly decent company doing about 8 to 10 crores business. And then they decided that, okay, we need to grow. We need to get investments into the company. So they got a private equity person to come and invest into the company. Almost 25 crores was invested. This was a company from outside the country. They wanted to enter this business. They got into this business. Then this company grew. They took that money, they grew the company. They grew it to almost 5 times the size which they were grown at that time within a matter of 5 years. Growth was phenomenal. Business grew. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, that was time when it was very good. Everything was nice and rosy. And suddenly, the investors decided they need to leave the country and they wanted to leave. So they just left everything. They left the company, they left everything, and they went. And that company was already into too many projects, a lot of projects which they couldn't do anything. So, and then suddenly his partners also decided they wanted to leave because they didn't want to continue. I said, let's close the company. But this guy had faith in his team and in his abilities and the business that they were in. And then they got back into the drawing board again and said, let's see what we can do about this. So then he took it up on his own and said, okay, I'm going to do something about this. And he took it up every day. But then he realized it was not a joke. It was not a joke. He thought maybe he would turn around this company. But then he realized after about 2 months that he had to pay almost about 5 to 6 crores to the bank. There were a lot of debts to be paid. There were a huge amount of projects that need to be completed. And he was totally, literally gone. So, but this guy used to pray every day, sit down, pray. His family and his team supported him fully. Slowly. I'm talking of a recession or a difficult time for almost 1.5 years to 2 years. This guy sat down, drawing board after drawing board after drawing board, went back and said, okay, I'm not going to leave it here. I'm not going to leave it here. Then finally, after 1.5 years, 2 years, he got another investor who could invest faith in his company, got invested into his company, and then he got in almost about 15 crores, got invested into his company. And after 2 years now, today his company is debt-free. They are doing business like usual. They are debt-free today, but his team, his family stood by him. He had faith in his God that it will take him. Okay. Why I'm telling you this story is to run you through and say difficult times are here. Difficult times will come, but it is up to us to see how we can go through this, how we can go through this, how we can come through this. If you think this is something which is a story which is maybe too unrealistic, let me tell you, this is my story. Okay, this is my story, what I've gone through. So today it is my urge that I would be able to help people who are going through similar situations and people who are going through the situations in a different phase. It doesn't need to have to be like a businessman. It doesn't have to be like a business, or it doesn't have to be, it can be you're working, you lost your jobs, you're on a time where you are thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What should I do to go over this? Will this end? Glenn has spoken to you, given you a framework and said, okay, this is what financially you can do. Okay, but I wanted to lay on some aspects more on the mental aspects of what do we do, and also to do things that which might help you to overcome the situation. Rajat, can we start the screen share? Yeah, thanks. To the next slide, Rajat. Yeah, you can go ahead. Okay, this is what I have told you. So what do we learn from this? What do we learn from this situation that we are in, or what do we learn from this story? Okay, the first very, very important point. Okay, very important for me. Project, you can go on to the next point. Okay, first of all, never let go. Okay, stay calm, stay composed. That's very, very critical, that I've learned from my personal life. It is on your face. You can go through the next points also, Project. Okay. First and secondly, you need to believe that these difficult times are going to be a passing phase. That's very, very important. A lot of people are jumping to conclusions thinking nothing is going to change from here. Even not necessarily from my life, you have seen from different situations in your life. Think 10 years back, you might have thought maybe the 10th or the +2 exam or something in your office, that is the most critical thing in my life. If I do this, I will change. If I do this, this will change. If you look back after about 20 years, 10 years or 20 years or whatever age group you are, you will realize that no. That was just a passing phase, and there are much more challenges. But then also, let me tell you, these are challenges that are going to be coming back to you time again in your life. So believing in your abilities, keep focusing on on your work situation. That's very, very important. Don't get distracted from what you read on WhatsApp, what you read on news. Trust on your abilities, but please understand one thing. Your abilities have brought you into this situation till now. Okay. Trust in your situation. You can go ahead. Okay. For me, this is a personal experience. Trust God. Trust God that He will lead you into the difficulties, and you need to don't question God. Trust in trust God. Understand real situation. But also, I'll say, I don't also want to tell you that, okay, God will do things and you sit on a table or lie on a bed. You have to do your work. You have to do your part of the responsibility which God is leading you to do. Okay. Second thing is, understand real situations and alter your plan whenever you're needed. I will also touch upon this as we keep going. Look around, understand that don't be in a very unrealistic situation where you think, oh, okay, next 4 months, this is what January, nobody thought that we would be in a situation like that. Keep reinventing yourself. Keep going back to your drawing board again and again and again and saying, how can I change things? How things have changed. Realize how things have changed and see how you need to change things for your plan. It can be your college, it can be your work situation, it can be your finances, it can be anything else. But again, There is always time. You can go back. You can go to the next slide. Yeah. Okay. What do I do? Okay, I'm going to split this into two parts quickly, more as a working professional, and then maybe I'll touch upon as a business person or an entrepreneur. Okay, this will work out for almost everybody. This is a time where I think you need to reevaluate your budget. Okay, look at your expenses. And another thing is, do it along with your wife or with your family so that they understand the clear definition of the budget. Okay, take out your budget, do three things. Split the whole thing into what is called a must do. Second, you can do it as a can do or be postponed and can be avoided. Make this into three things. Okay, and again, I will go into the next points. So break this into must do. You cannot change maybe school rent, your rentals, or things like that. You don't know what you can, you rethink. Take down the must do list and again rethink and say, is this absolutely necessary? You might think and see and try and sit together and see if you can reduce by 30%. Be very, very, very frugal. This is something which you need to do it for the next 6 months, or as Glenn was saying, maybe do it for a year for you to come out of this crisis and come back to the good old times, as we say. Okay, try, sit down, write down every expenses and say, can I push this into the next bracket? Okay, and then there are things like EMIs, the can do list. Go see if you can postpone it for 6 months. Talk to your banks, EMIs, your house rent, talk to your house owner. I don't know. If say, can I postpone it for 6 months? See all the expenses which you can postpone. There are banks which are, Glenn told you, you can refinance your bank. You can go talk to them and say, okay, can we push it by 3 months? If, okay, we are towards the end of the period which the government has given, hopefully they might extend or they might not. But that is something that you need to do. So, and things which can be avoided, I just would say, don't even think about it. Just leave it for the time being. Take it after 3 months. Your shopping, your good, all the malls are closed. All that, put it aside and said, okay, please understand, this is not going to end tomorrow, or the vaccine has been advertised. You are not going to get your vaccine and your business and your everything is not going to come back within the next 1 or 2 months. Take 6 months as a time where you need to be very, very, very tight on your budgets and your income, on your expenses. Okay. Second is rethink your income source. You're working, you're not allowed to work anywhere. Think what you can do. If you're a housewife, can I do something like this? Short-term business but don't get into a business where you will do a major investments. Do something which is a short-time business. Let me tell you some examples, some real examples that I've seen and which had made me thinking in the last 4 or 5 months. I go to the market and I find a guy selling watermelons in a can. So I was talking to that guy. They are actually 3 or 4 auto drivers who can't drive now. So they have gone together, hired a vehicle, got to the market, got watermelons in a thing, and they are selling. He's saying, sir, this is how I need to rethink and survive. Okay. We have a tennis coach in our apartment. Today, he cannot coach. For the last 4 months, he brings his car to the apartment. He is selling things like chips and whatnot in a car. He brings it in a car. He comes there. He sells it to the people. And you won't believe he is doing this for 4 or 5 apartments. He comes there for 3 to 4 hours, almost on an alternate day, and he's doing it. And he's saying, I am earning as much as what I used to do earlier. There is a guy who has a small shop in Ananagar. Today, his shop is closed. What he has done, he sells vegetables, packed vegetables to apartments. I was talking to him, he said about 6 to 7 apartments he's selling, and he's serving close to about 400 to 450 customers. and people are buying vegetables, fruits, and everything to him. One, he gives you very good quality at your doorstep and at very good prices. And hence, he is moved from his shop. He's not kept quiet and said, okay, my shop is closed. What do I do? He's moved into the business. So there are hundreds of ways. You have Swiggy, you can do, I have spoken this earlier also. If you can bake, you can cook, why don't you even think of doing something and sell it through Swiggy? Register on Swiggy, sell it. I know people who are baking well in their homes, no big infrastructure, cooking good dishes, selling it on Swiggy. They don't have a restaurant, they don't have a hotel. There are people who are selling. It's time. There is no definite clear way and saying this is what you need to do. It's a time to rethink. All I'm saying is rethink your income source. If your income has come down, rethink your income source, and you need to innovate. I think this is a time which has taught us to innovate. And also another thing is, one thing which I would advise is, don't go in for the standard business which everybody is wanting to go. Everybody wants to sell masks, everybody wants to sell sanitizers, everybody wants. I'm telling you this, there are too many people in the market. Get something which is innovative, get something which is different, which will last you. It doesn't have to be a 10-year business. It can last you even for 6 months to 1 year for you to do. And if you are successful in that, I think it will keep going on. There are a lot of online jobs and online work which is there. See if you can look for online jobs, but keep looking. You need to, if you are short of income, don't sit quiet. Think of another source of income which you can go. It can be short term also. Yeah. Okay. Glenn has already touched upon this. Sometimes we have all built in a little bit of an emergency fund. If this is the emergency that you are all been waiting for, see if you have to use it. If you don't have to use it, you still are doing well. If you have to use it, please use it, but be very, very, very cautious. Within 6 months or whatever time frame is possible, replenish it back, because you might have emergencies later. This is actually an emergency fund, but this is a situational emergency. Replenish it back into that fund. Okay. And then read and look out for various schemes which the government is coming out. Banks are coming out with various schemes. You keep reading. I think these are the places maybe where Glenn can help you, or a lot of people can help you. Look for advice for people, talk to people. And if you, sometimes it's very too high end, even I might not understand, you might not understand, talk to somebody who can help you with this situation and understand the schemes, which there are a lot of things, a lot of people don't even go near the schemes because they don't even understand what is in that scheme. Okay. Another thing is, a lot of people have said, okay, this is there, let me jump here, let me jump there. My advice is, wait, don't jump for jaws, because you don't, just for the sake of it, saying, okay, there's somebody who's paying full salary, somebody is paying something more, just because of the situation. I think things will be back. Everybody will be back to normal business and work within. It is already 75% now. A lot of people are working from home. I think everything would be back to normal within about 6 months. So unless your office is going to be closed or something, I would still suggest wait for the right opportunity, stay back and do your work, but be patient. Okay. Another thing is also keep updated on what's happening around you. This is very, very important. Don't live in a dream world. Learn, read, listen to the news, understand what is actually happening, and also keep predicting what might happen in the near future. And if you have to change course, you have to do things that you need to do, please do it now. This is the time. Don't take it to the last. If you need to change course, if you need to do things that are totally different from what you're doing now, please do it now. Yeah. Okay. And also, this is again coming back to the point one. Okay, this is with respect to the entrepreneur. What I told you was with respect to professionals. Let me come to business owners or entrepreneurs who are into business and saying, okay, I'm not able to get revenues. I have to pay salaries. I have to pay rentals. I have to do this. Okay. First of all, again, the same thing, prioritize your spending cost. Cut costs if you need to cut costs. I told it earlier also to people and said, this is a time for survival. You need to survive for the next 6 months. Do what it takes. If you need to cut costs, you need to do things which will help you survive. Take your team into confidence. Sit with them. I would say, sit with your team. I have done it with my team. We have cut costs and do it as a team so that you survive for the next 6 months. That's very, very critical. Okay. If you have loans, there are a lot of the banks are willing to refinance loan. Glenn has touched upon many of the things, like for the personal things on house loans. I'm sure the banks are refinancing your loans. Go to your bank, sit down. I'm sure there were bank loans which are about 12%, 13%. Now I'm sure you will be able to reduce the thing, and also see if you can push the EMIs for another 6 months. Refinance, talk to your bank. Banks will be willing to do that. And again, there are some expenses which you need to do. Try and postpone for 3 months. Talk to your team, talk to your people, talk to people who can advise you and see how we can postpone expenses by 3 months, by 6 months. Okay. And also reevaluate your business model. Again, this is very, very important, because I don't know, maybe 6 months, can you start to remodel your business to ensure that you're working from home, or situationally, can you change the course? You need to sit, revisit your business model and say, is it going to change? You need to see things for the future. A favorite example for me is like, we don't have cassettes today. We don't have CDs also today. Cassettes moved on to CDs, and people thought CDs was the in thing. Today it is all online music. So today we don't have cameras, we don't have films. There were big factories which were set up with 15 years, 20 years revenue model, where today the product is not there at all. So be very, 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 very cautious. Be on rethinking your business model and say, am I adapting to the new situation? Am I adapting to the future? Don't get stuck to the old business model. You need to keep doing this. Understand laws. Go back, Prajit. I have not completed that. Okay. Understand the government laws and regulations of taxes. I know it is going to be, it is very, very complicated. Even I have to sit with my auditor every time a rule changes, so that you understand and see how does it going to impact me? How is it going to, what do I need to do to change this? Okay, so understand regulations. Okay, talk to your auditor, talk to your people and understand, because if you see the last 1 year, income tax rules, taxes, GST laws they keep changing all the time. So you have to be updated, and you need to run your business based on those regulations. Okay, what I would always advise one thing to a businessman who is wanting to start a business, or who is not, take a coach or somebody who can help you understand your business model, reevaluate the business model. Because I would say, don't talk to your family members on your business. This is something which I would say, because the family members are always wanting to encourage you. They will never see the negative side of the business. Look to somebody who can help you. Look at your business model in a very, very clear perspective and tell you where you're going wrong and what you need to change. Okay, this is very, very important. Talk to somebody who understands your business. And this is something which me or Glenn can help out. Let me again reiterate, this is something which we are doing it out of a passion to help people. and we are always open. You can talk to us. We will be willing to help you out and see how your business model is working. We have already been helping some people, but we would, if you are stuck somewhere, you don't have to talk to us. You can talk to somebody who's I would suggest a non-family member, about your nitty-gritty of your business, so that they analyze it on a threadbare and tell you where you're going wrong, so that it will help you in your business. Very, very important. Okay, so I am almost come to the end. Okay, so let me it is grim times, but let me leave you with end with a little bit of encouragement. Okay, Prajit has to give us the encouragement. Okay, I've been telling this again and again and again. Say, stay calm, stay focused on what you're doing. We have had tight situations earlier in everybody's lives. We have come out of it earlier, and for sure we will come out of this situation also in the future. In this, we will come out of this situation. Okay, Prajit. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Okay, well, personally for me, I've trusted God. I would trust God and keep the good faith. Okay, and I'm sure we will all come out of this situation, and maybe we'll have a better seminar to see how we can we will all be able to grow. Okay, all of you stay safe, spread love, and if it's possible, you encourage others. Thank you so much. Feel free to ask any questions. Me or Glenn will be able to help you, not only necessarily in the seminar now, but you can also send it to us. We have given the numbers. You can send it to us, and we will be able to help you out in future as well. Thank you so much. Hope it was useful.
Yeah, thank you, Cyril, for that wonderful message. I think the key takeaway for me, at least, is to stay calm and stay focused at a time like this. So very well put out. We will move to the question answer session now. We have some questions on Slido which has come. Sam, if you can share your screen with Slido, we can start going over the questions one by one. For those of you who are not very well versed with Slido, please feel free to have your questions put on this chat box. If you find Slido to be a little difficult, please feel free to put your questions on the Zoom chat box. So we will go on to Slido now, and we'll take on the first few questions. Okay, the first question with most number of votes is, can you share the process of doing an SIP? What percentage is acceptable as an agent commission? Glenn, can you go for this one? You're on mute. You'll have to unmute it. Glenn, you're still on mute. You'll have to unmute and talk.
Yeah, to do an SIP is not very difficult. All you need to first do is do something called a KYC, know your client. So once you finish your know your client registration, and to do a know your client, you need a PAN, you need an address, and you need to have a face to take a photograph. So if you have all these three, you can do your know your client KYC. And once you finish your KYC, today you can make a mutual fund investment online itself. They will ask you to log in. They'll give you a user ID password, and you can buy and sell your mutual funds by yourself. When you go directly, there is no commission which you have to pay. So you save that 0.5% or 1%, whatever it is, you save it. If you don't need advice, don't go through an agent. If you need someone to advise, structure you on the mutual fund, then go through an agent. But to do an SIP, you don't need an agent. You can do it directly. So just do your KYC, go to one of the mutual funds, finish the KYC one shot, and then everything else can be online. So it's a one day, it's a few hours, maybe not even an hour, but half an hour job. Once you finish that, then you can do all your SIPs online. Once you start, the ideal way to do an SIP is you fix an amount every month which you're comfortable putting, and keep putting that month after month after month, and do it at least for about 5 years. The returns which you get after 5 years will be very good. But don't look at it short term. Because in the short term, you will have volatility. And generally, you find people, when they start the SIP, everything will be good as long as the market is going up. The moment the market starts falling, you panic and stop. That is when you shouldn't stop. Because the beauty of an SIP is that when these markets are falling, actually then only does your SIP give value. Because when you buy when the stock market is falling, you have something called a rupee cost averaging, which means for the same amount of money, you get more units and at a cheaper price. So that brings your average cost down. So your cost comes down when the market is falling. And after a few years, when the market goes up, the entire amount is your profit. Don't put a lump sum into the stock market, especially at this time. That is my advice on SIP.
Thank you, Glenn.
Minimum is 500 rupees. Minimum per month is 500. After that,
Okay.
in lots of 100, you can 600, 700, you can do anything. But do it for 5 years.
Thank you, Glenn. I saw an interesting question before this, but I think it's gone. So the next question is term insurance and life insurance. Are they the same? Glenn, again, if you can answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Term insurance is a life insurance, but it is a pure risk insurance. It is a pure risk insurance in the sense that when you take a term insurance, let's say you are 30 years old, you take it up to 60 years. And when you're 60, if you're alive and celebrating your birthday, then all the premium which you paid is gone. You won't get anything back. But if something happens to you between 20 and 60 years, then your family gets that amount. The beauty of a term insurance is very cheap. You can get a 1 crore cover at 25, 30 years. At 30 years, a 1 crore cover will cost you about 1,100 rupees per month. The same 1 crore cover if you take in a typical life insurance, like they call the endowment plan or a unit linked insurance plan with LIC or any other life insurance company, you would have to pay about 12 times more than what you pay for a term insurance. So here, if you pay 1,100 rupees, there you might have to pay about 13,000 rupees to get the same amount of insurance. As an investment advisor, as a financial planner, we have been taught to advise people never mix insurance and investment. Keep your insurance separate, keep your investment separate. So for insurance, take a term insurance, take a larger amount to protect your family, and the remaining amount which you have, invest in a mutual fund. That gives you best of both worlds. But take a term insurance. Do take it, especially at this time. I think Ranjit is stuck. Yeah, I'll take the next. Cyril, you want to take the next question? Lot of ads to make quick money on YouTube. How true are they?
There's nothing like free money. I think so. I think so. I think many people are falling for this. There's nothing called free money. Nothing comes without hard work. That's my experience also. So don't look at all these advertisements to make quick money. There is always a structured way of making money. So go only with this. Don't fall for any of these ads or any of these quick schemes which will give you money. So I don't think you should even look at these things, especially at this time, because people are see, when a bank can give you only about 6 to 7% or 8% to that matter, how can somebody give you a 20% or a 25% unless he is doing something very drastically different? So I think you shouldn't even think about those things.
Agree with Cyril. Just be very careful about people who advertise forex trading. They offer you phenomenal returns. Forex trading is not only unregulated, it's also illegal if done by certain people as if they're managing your forex. You doing forex is fine, but giving it to some agents who manage it for you, it is actually illegal. They cheat you. I know a client who lost 1 crore just recently, even though I wanted. After he lost the money, he called me and was virtually crying, saying, I should have listened to you. He put 1 crore, they offered him, 100% return in 1 year. The first month, they gave him back 10%, that is 10 lakhs. The second month, they gave him 10 lakhs. He was telling me, see, I've got 10 lakhs already. The third month onwards, no money came. Calling the guy, he's disappeared. Left the country. They found that he left the country after making a police complaint. So be careful of that. Be careful of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not illegal, but it's not regulated. If you lose the money tomorrow, there is no one to save you. You have to go to the police station and file an FIR saying I've lost my cryptocurrency. I know of a story where a guy went to the cops and said, I lost some money with the cryptocurrency. You know what the cop said? Cryptocurrency is illegal. We have to arrest you. They detained that guy. So be careful on what you do. All these ads, all these schemes which offer you great amount of returns, please keep away.
Okay, the next question is, in housing loan, initial amount bank is asking us to pay 10% from the principal value. Is there any way we can negotiate this rate?
Not really. Cyril, you are aware of anything?
No.
The 10% you have to pay. At the maximum, maybe you can reduce it to 8%, but 10% you have to really pay.
Yeah, and
Try and save up. Try and get some money from loved ones, your wife's jewelry, which is not using. Otherwise, we have to start a marriage counseling session next, so I won't get into that. But if you want the 10%, any junk jewelry or something, you can do sell it and get that. Are you aware of anything which can reduce that?
No. So also my advice is, today, if you are not able to pay the 10% and you are going to take a risk of 100%, you have to rethink about, do you really want to go in for that housing loan or whatever is the thing. I think that is also a thing that I don't think banks will offer anything less. Sometimes it is more. But if you are not able to put in the 10%, then you take the loan only when you are able to do it, because your commitment is going to be 100%. But also please understand one thing, a 20 lakh loan in 15 years, you are going to pay 50 lakhs or 40 lakhs for that example, for if you are going to take this. So so please realize what you're getting into before you get into anything. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I'm late to invest for retirement. Can you advise what I can do? Well, you have to postpone your retirement or live with a lesser retirement corpus. So only two solutions to that. Either you reduce the amount of corpus which you need for retirement, or you have to postpone your retirement. That's only two solutions I can give you.
Okay.
India is allowed to invest in stock markets outside India. Should I do that? Which country is better? What are the pros and cons? Well, you can invest outside India, but there are enough of opportunities within India. However, if you like to, own some of the great companies like an Amazon, a Netflix, Facebook, there is again this ETF, Exchange Traded Fund Platform, and in India, in the National Stock Exchange, you have NASDAQ, and NASDAQ is the American stock market where all these shares are listed. You have a NASDAQ ETF. I think it's run by Motilal Oswal. You can invest in rupees into the NASDAQ ETF, and you indirectly then own all these American shares in small portions. You will own the ETF units, but that in turn owns the shares. So you're indirectly owning the shares. That is the way I would suggest to do it. But don't do it for the sake of doing it. Don't do it for the sake of having American stocks. Please remember, you have an American election coming up in November. Any change there or any problem with the election, the markets world over topple. So be careful of that.
Okay, some good books on to read on personal finance and entrepreneurship.
Good books to read on personal finance. My suggestion is, rather than books, install a few apps and read it, because that gives you the latest, right? Personal finance books, entrepreneurial books, yes, might be a little interesting, but personal finance keeps changing continuously. So please read ET app, Economic Times app. If you want to look at global what's happening, CNBC, Bloomberg, Economic Times, Mint is a very good app, MINT. It's a subscription which you have to pay. I rather say you pay a subscription because it gives you so much of great practical details. Just some time back, there was an article on finance for women. What should women know in terms of finance? And it talks about what if a woman is in this situation after marriage, what if she gets divorced, what if the husband leaves her and the kids, what are the legal recourse, what are the financial legal recourses she has, what are the rights she has. So very beautiful article. So, and I sent it out to all, the girl students of many girls' colleges, and you won't believe the kind of response that people are saying, fantastic, thank you. So, the best way I think to update yourself is read the latest articles. Entrepreneurship, well, there are a number of books which you can read on. Built to Last. Built to Last is a great book to read on. There's a book on stocks. Value invest. Warren Buffett's letters to his shareholders, they are fascinating. They give you so much of practical advice by one of the greatest men in the world. And he's given virtually all his wealth to charity. So read about Warren Buffett, how he built his empire. From selling newspapers to being the largest shareholder of Coca-Cola. Read his book on his letters to the shareholders. They are fascinating. What is a lock-in period for Sukanya Samriddhi? Yeah, 18 years. When your daughter is 18 years, you can withdraw it. Or maximum, you can stay up to 21 years. To verify is bharatbond.in, where you purchase your electronic, see, Bharat Bond and electronic gold are both available on a platform called ETF, Exchange Traded Fund. Now, all ETFs are listed like a share on the stock market. So if you want to buy the Bharat Bond ETF, or if you want to buy the Nippon Gold Bees ETF, which is electronic gold, you have to open a stockbroking account and a demat account. And just like how you buy a share, you can do that. Even opening a stockbroking account is easy. Just do your KYC, open a broking account and a demat account. That demat account is very important because that's where you store your electronic shares in your name. Electronic gold or electronic Bharat Bond, whatever you store it there, you buy it to your trading account. So 2 accounts, trading and demat account. Why I'm re-emphasizing it? Many banks just tell you open a demat account. Just with the demat account, no use. You need a trading and a demat account. So open both. Doesn't mean you have to buy shares. You can even buy electronic gold. You can buy electronic Bharat bonds through the your stockbroking account.
Investing in real gold or versus gold bonds, which is better?
Cyril, you want to take that?
No, you can go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, you had some, practical knowledge also.
I would suggest is to go for the gold bonds because when you buy and sell gold, you generally end up paying GST, losing GST. And I'm still, again, not talking of gold jewelry. Gold jewelry is like it is more fashionable. It is not an investment tool at all. You will lose making charges 10 to 15%, 15 to 18% is what you will generally lose, which is not a real thing. You can buy coins, but again, gold bond, if you are able to do it, it's also easily tradable.
Yeah, good. See, there's a difference between gold bond and electronic gold. Gold bonds is a sovereign gold bond which the government issues. Apart from the price going up, they also give you 2.5% interest every year. So that is good. The bad part is there's a lock-in for minimum of 5 years. So be aware of that. Electronic gold, no lock-in. You can buy in the morning, sell in the evening also. So if you are okay for a lock-in and you'd like to get the interest also, then go for a sovereign gold bond. But 5 years, we don't know how gold will be 5 years from now. So if you ask me about gold, electronic gold is better than physical gold and the sovereign gold bond. That is gold bees, the electronic ETF. My SIP advisor asked me to move from one mutual fund to another every year. That's the way he likes to make commission. Don't do that. It's a terrible idea. However, if you made a mistake and chose a bad fund, making one change is okay. Typically, an SIP will work well in a large cap fund, an index fund, or a blue chip fund. So choose one of them, one of the good companies, which is either, Axis has a good blue chip fund, ICICI has a good blue chip fund, SBI has a good blue chip fund, HDFC top 100. So choose one of these funds and invest and stay invested. Don't keep changing. Cyril,
the loan interest is low or waived. Can I get a personal loan for my business?
Okay. See, this is a very, very difficult question because you are talking of the highest interest loan. Personal loan is going to be your highest interest. I don't know if I can give you just a generalized statement like that. That would be the maybe next to taking money from your credit card. If your business is able to get you the revenues which will pay off your loan in a short time, then you can go ahead. Depends on, see, the thing is, any loan you can take based on the revenues that are going to be generated from your business. So this is something which we can help you, but for that you need to tell us what is your business model. But if you are going to make, if you are going to have enough profits to pay off, I would typically say if your EMI is going to be 30 to 40% of your the generation of your, that is your income. I'm talking of profits, not income. Profits, then you go and take in for a loan. Otherwise, look for other options. Again, no business can run without a loan, but you need to be careful what business that you're doing, and especially on your revenue and your return on investments.
Yeah. My suggestion, quick thing there is take a business. Don't use a personal loan for a business. Take a business loan, because tomorrow if anything goes wrong, your personal assets will be at stake. So you take a business loan for your business. So if you can't pay, your business assets will be taken from it. Don't give a personal guarantee. Be careful of that.
Yeah. What Glenn is suggesting, see, these are some of the things that when you get into detail, a business loan is something which, again, depending on what size and companies, and I don't know whether based on your track record, try to avoid to give a personal guarantee for your business loan. Else, if you give a personal guarantee, then they cannot, if you don't give a personal guarantee, they cannot touch your personal wealth. It is only a business.
Okay, I'll move quickly. Is it better to have a bank account in a private bank and a government bank like SBI, meaning 2 accounts? Yeah, diversification is okay, but don't have 100 bank accounts. So tomorrow you also don't know how many you have. I would suggest, yeah, SBI definitely yes, and maybe with HDFC or ICICI, anything is okay. I have ended up taking 60% of my personal loan from my total income. My repayment track changing job, what can I manage? If you've taken 60% of your income as a personal loan, my only suggestion to you is try and refinance the loan. Move your loan to today a cheaper interest rate. My guess is if you took it long back, you'll be paying about 16 to 17, 18%. Try to get a cheaper personal loan at about 12.5%, 13% and swap it. That is my strong suggestion to you. Where can I see interest rate for home loan to negotiate? Well, I have a HDFC home loan. So an HDFC home loan, once you log in, only if you log in, on the left-hand side, you will not find it, will not be very obvious because they don't want you to easily do it. But if you click on some buttons and scroll down, I think it's under requests or something like that, you will have a form which says, which talks about resetting your interest rate. And they will tell you what is the cost also for it. There is a charge for you to do that.
Okay, Glenn, one point in this is with respect to the home loans. I think especially now, in the last, I'm talking of the last 10 days, it's been drastically falling. People have been calling me, somebody called me from one bank and said, see, you have a home loan in HDFC. We are willing to give it at 7.1%. And after that, ICICI guys called me next day and said 6.875% is what we are willing to take it. Drastic reduction from 8.5 to 6.75. You were telling me there are some banks which are offering you 6.55 also. So I think you can also even type out and Google it and find out what is the interest rate offered. But let me warn you that it is fluctuating drastically. But this is a good time, very, very good time for you to refinance or do a balance transfer of your loan if you're able to get a good offer.
If you top up your housing loan, how strong are post office fixed deposits? They are very safe because post office comes under the central government. They are safe. If you top up housing loan, do you have to show any evidence of renovation of building? Not necessarily nowadays, because they've given you a home loan, let's say of 25, 30 lakhs. You already paid 10 lakhs. So what are they doing is they're actually adding you back the 10 lakhs. So nowadays they don't really ask you for, proof of renovation and other things like that because your house loan is given as security. So now they don't worry what is your end use. As long as your house security is there and the loan amount is only a small portion of the house value. I think the US stocks I already advised. Instead of going through a mutual fund, it is better to go through a ETF. NASDAQ ETF or Hang Seng ETF. Hang Seng is a Hong Kong exchange to buy Chinese stock. Can I take a home loan from ICICI? I think Cyril answered that. I think ICICI Bank is offering you a good rate.
Yeah. I think this is the right time. But also please understand, you cannot take a home loan without buying a home. So, or you need to have an existing home loan that is like the cheapest loan that you can get today. Yesterday they were calling me for 6.75%. So it's a fantastic time to take a home loan if you're going to buy a home. Reliable source of information, reasonably safe, high return government banks. Glenn, many of your questions, Glenn.
Reliable source of information. Well, you can use my name. I'm just joking. But read. Most of this you read because when you read this the apps which have these business news, they keep telling you which is the new scheme, which is interesting. Another one good investment which I saw recently is corporate deposits, but only, I'm telling you again, many corporate deposits are risky. HDFC, Housing Development Finance Corporation, not HDFC Bank. This is HDFC, which is actually the parent of the bank. They are giving you fixed deposits at 6.25% for 1 year. And they are top notch. They are top class, very safe, 6.25%. So those kind of things, when you read, you find out and you can make use of. So reading is the best thing. If you have any doubts, then there are so many people who can help you. You can ask them. And they do it without, most of them, if you know them, all this, they won't charge you anything. They will just do it. Cyril, you want to take the emergency fund?
No, they asked, should I go via SIP or just put in a separate account? You can take it, Glenn. I don't. Okay. Where to invest?
See, SIP is for a long-term goal. SIP can't be for an emergency fund. An emergency fund should be money which you can take out within 24 hours. So, it's better to keep it in a separate account, or you want to use a piggy bank or an envelope scheme. But my suggestion is, keep it in probably something called a liquid mutual fund, which you can redeem in 24 hours. You earn little more than a savings bank account there, interest. So keep it in a liquid mutual fund or keep it in a savings bank. Don't keep it idle at home. It's not safe also.
Maybe a good way is to break it up into 2 or 3. And depending, and if you have, let's say, 1 lakh, break it up into 30 lakhs and 30,000 and put it into 3 different things which you might not require that expenses immediately. So break it up into an FD and maybe some into an, like Glenn was saying, in an SIP. Always better to have 2 or 3 options where you can use your emergency fund quickly.
How do I evaluate IPOs? IPOs are initial public offers. That is when companies offer shares to the public for the first time. Well, go with the good names. That is all my suggestion is. If you want to really evaluate before the IPO comes, there are many articles which are written. Read them. One way to know if it's going to be good is you look at who are the anchor investors. If you have good anchor investors, usually they've done the due diligence, and therefore you can just follow what they've done. Anchor investors are investors who are large in size, who invest before the IPO or assure that they will buy a certain part of the IPO. So that is one way to do it. Read very carefully and be careful before you invest into IPOs, especially in this time of recession. I think LIC is coming with an IPO, that will be good. UTA also is planning. So those things, look at the bigger ones and try to invest. Investment app like Grow and Binomo, any good? Grow is a decent app. It allows you to invest into mutual funds directly. So I know Grow, I don't know about Binomo, but be careful about the app. See whether the apps are regulated, whether they have a license from, SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, or the which is the finance ministry based, regulator. See if they have a license, see if it is authorized, and then go into the app. Don't go into, these foreign apps which are allowing Indians to invest. Don't do that. That is a sure shot fraud. So don't do that. Do only Indian apps and check whether they are, regulated. I think we answered this question. I said go direct. If you're new, nothing great in doing an SIP. Pick a large cap fund, that is companies which invest in large companies, or index fund. Index fund invests in the top 30 or top 50 companies, or pick a blue chip fund. A blue chip fund only invests in the blue chip stocks. So pick one of those from either Birla, Access, SBI, ICICI mutual fund, or HDFC mutual fund, and invest into them. Once you do your KYC, like I told you, monthly, the amount will automatically go from your account. So once you start, it's not a problem at all. Minimum investment is 500. You can put anything which you're comfortable, but don't stop for at least 5 years. Keep continuing with it.
Hello, everyone. I hope the session was very useful for each and every one of us. I want to personally thank Glenn Anna and Cyril Anna for making this time and helping us understand how to invest and how to manage our time during this uncertainty. It was really helpful, Anna, and thank you so much once again. And I request each and every participant, anytime if you want to have a personal touch with the speaker, you can reach out to us, the number already in the screen, and you can email to us, or we can also set up some time so that we can discuss the personal session with Cyril or Glenn. And we also have a next session planned. It is going to be on August 29th, 10 a.m. That is more of on job loss and equipping ourselves, upskilling. All these points we are going to discuss in our next session. We will be sending information about our next session in a couple of days. We will be in touch with you all through email. Please do join, and it will be helpful, and I hope you all will join in your next session, and it will be helpful for each and every one of us. So I think we can close it right now. Let's have a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this lovely time and helping each and every one of us to participate in this seminar and taking care of us, because we are in the virtual world, and through this technology, we are hearing these kind of seminar from very good speakers, my Father. Thank you for facilitating all these things and organizing and taking care of this seminar seamlessly without any issues, my Father. We want to thank you so much for the speaker that you chose for today, my Lord. And thank you for the message, what we heard from them, my Lord. Please help us to equip ourselves and invest our time and rethink what we need to do during this hard time, so that we will be safe and we will secure our family safe. Thank you once again, and we ask all this in your holy name. Amen. So we are done, and we will meet you soon in our next session, and we will keep you updated. Yep.
Rajesh, maybe they can send in their suggestions also on the program.
Okay.
On how it was it useful, what improvements can be done for the next program also. So you can invite them to share their suggestions as well.
Okay. As Cyril said, you can write to us all your feedback and your suggestions so that we can have a better session in our next.
You can put it on the chat also.
Yes.
Someone doesn't have time to send, and you just put it on a chat. Any suggestions, any topics also which you think we should cover, then that will be helpful for us.
Yep.